What is up, Mission? My name is Mike Hickerson. I'm honored to be lead pastor of Mission Church. Thank you. I don't know why we're clapping, but that's great. Thanks. I feel like my mother's here. That's amazing. She's so proud of me. No, what's up? My name is Mike Hickerson. We haven't met. Just honored that Mission's a part of your weekend. If you're hanging in the lobby or online or in the room or family in Oxnard, our Oxnard campus, man, I love our church. I love what God is doing in and through the people that make up Mission. We exist as a church to help people find and follow Jesus, and man, that's what we go after with our lives. We try not to overcomplicate that as much as it is, because it's not easy to surrender your life. It's easy to surrender your life to Jesus, but it's not easy to live that out and let God transform you. I mean, that takes work, and that takes effort, and that takes energy, and that takes us a lot of surrender in our lives and God working in us. And so we try not to overcomplicate what we're about, because living surrendered lives is complicated enough in a world where we got to go after everything that we want and satisfy ourselves. So we just say, man, we're in this together. There are no perfect people here, but there's a really perfect God who rescues and saves. Like, we believe, man, that God sent his son Jesus into the mess for the worst of us and the worst in us, so that we could be restored back. Like, Jesus paid the price for us so that we could be restored back to our original identity as much loved sons and daughters of God. We have that privilege. We have that right. That's what we're at. And you may be walking in, you may be hanging out, and you're like, dude, I just came because there was donuts. And then she said that we'd go to brunch afterwards. And I'm like, that's great. That'll work. That's all right. We call a truce for an hour on Sunday, because if God is who he says he is, and then that's some big ramifications for our life. And so, man, let's call a truce. I don't know where you're at. I don't know what you've walked in with. I don't know what baggage we got around God or Jesus or church or Bible. I understand some of that. Sometimes Christians, we can be weird. And if you don't know a weird Christian, you probably are it, and I'm sorry, and that's okay. That's all right. There's a lot of hope for all of us in that. One of the things that are on the wall, things that we believe to the core of us that we're trying to work out, man, is that we believe that anyone is welcome. Because if God is who he says he is, then he's already made a way for us to be restored back. And so there's nothing that we can do that God is surprised by, or that he doesn't know, or that he hasn't already sent his son Jesus to pay for in our lives. So anyone is welcome, no matter where you are, no matter what you've been, no matter what you've gone through, no matter what experiences you have in your life. I mean, anyone is welcome here, because there are no perfect people. And we, like most of the time when I'm teaching, we start it off this way because it helps me remind myself that I'm not perfect. So if you're just checking out Mission for the first time, this is going to be weird, but it'll be very normal soon. So when you come back. But the people that invited you, or the people next to you, what I want you to do is look at them and you've been waiting to say this for a long time to them, so that you just wanted to get this out, and just look at them and say, hey, I just want you to know from the bottom of my heart, you're not perfect. So go ahead and tell the people next to you that, just from the bottom of your heart, and that with kindness. Like, I just want you to know, I'm just excited. And they're going to tell you that too, and you're going to be like, how did you know? You know, some of us got really excited because we've been waiting way too long to tell somebody that they're not perfect, and they think that they are. This is terrible to do later, all right? When you're figuring out lunch plans or dinner plans, or why we didn't do the dishes, or whose job it is to do blank. And to remind each other of our imperfections later is terrible to do when we're in a fight. But it is great to do when we're the church together, when we're gathering together, to remind ourselves that there are no perfect people, but there's a really perfect God who rescues and saves. And that puts us all in the same boat, puts us all in the same place. One of the things that we say is that anyone is welcome, and there's no perfect people, but like, change is possible. Like, I mean, not like we just stay stuck in our imperfection and we're like, well, that's just the way I am. That's the way my dad was, my grandpa was. That's the way it's just always going to be. That's just, I am who I am. There's no hope for me. That's not true, because change is possible. We don't have to stay stuck in the same hurts or habits. We can clap for that. Yeah. We don't have to stay stuck in the same hurts or habits or hangups, man. Like, God loves us too much to let us just wallow in all of the stuff that's caused rebellion and heartache and hurt in our lives. He wants to bring us out of that, and it's possible. There are like thousands of people that are a part of Mission that are just testimonies to that fact, that God rescues and restores and changes lives. It's possible. It's not just theoretical, it's real that God transforms lives. That's good news for us. So anyone is welcome, and no one is perfect, but change is possible, and that means that there's hope for every single one of us. And that's what we cling to, this real deal hope that we have, because God is who he says he is, and he will do everything that he's promised to do. And that's what we're about. That's what we cling to. That's what we build our lives upon, the fact that God has moved towards us. And man, I love what Jesus reveals about God. And I don't know where you're at on the Bible, but you need to read your Bibles. It is so good. It is so helpful. It is living and active, and it's worth building a life on. But we've been in this series called Name Dropper, where Jesus is kind of like revealing a couple things about who he is and about who God is. And there's 7 famous I am statements in the book of John, or the biography of Jesus that John wrote. And they're really famous. And we've been saying, okay, Jesus is walking through these things. He's walking through the fact that he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. We just sang about it, but Jesus was like, I am about it. Like that's what I'm letting you know, I am the way. There is no other way. And then Jesus says, I am the light of the world. And we talked about the properties of light and that it always wins in darkness. When we talked about that, Jesus says, I am the resurrection and the life. Like if you want, like not just your old life to be cleaned up, but not just like, bad people made good, but dead people in our sin made alive in Jesus. That's what we celebrate in baptism. That's what we've watched happen. But Jesus says, I'm the resurrection and the life. I can make dead people alive. And he says, I am the good shepherd. And today we're going to talk about the fact that he says, I am the gate. And then we'll talk about I am the bread of life and I am the vine. Stay connected to me. So I've loved this series, like where Jesus is giving us a little picture. He's not like on a microphone dropping names of people he knows like that. He's not like trying to tell everybody how important he is. He's not that kind of name dropper. When he's dropping these names of who he is, he's doing it in relationship to let people know who God is and why he came and what he's about, and attributes that Jesus is that we can cling to and build our lives on. It's really impactful. It's been a great series. If you haven't read the book of John, jump into the book of John. It's great stuff. But today we're going to talk about where he says, I am the gate. Some versions would say, I am the door. So we'll use gate and door a little bit. And it got me thinking a little bit. When I started thinking about that, I started thinking about let's make a deal. I'm just letting you know how my mind works. And like Monty Hall version, not the Wayne Brady version. Anybody Monty Hall fans? So, all right, this is a generational thing. I don't know why Let's Make a Deal was popular, but we all, I remember watching Let's Make a Deal and everyone loved it. I mean, people wore these crazy costumes, and I still don't know why. I'm sure they already picked people that were going to be in before even the taping started, but somehow these crazy costumes, and the more crazy costume you got, the better. And you got this thing, if they called your name, you got one thing to pick from, but there was always 3 doors. Right? And you were picking okay, you can keep the fancy new Vegemite blender that you got right here, or you can pick what's in door number 1, 2, or 3. What do you want? And then they would try to pick the doors, and you were hoping one time, it's not like Price is Right, but there'd be a new car, oh my goodness. And they're but we want you to know you have this thing too, but we have other doors for you to pick. And then also, it never failed. I never really even saw anyone win very big. They usually wussed out and kept the thing because they had the thing in their hand and they weren't sure what was behind. But sometimes people would risk it all and they'd go open the door and it'd be like a goat. And this is before before hipster goats were cool. This was so it wasn't a good gift. It was and everybody would laugh and they would send them off. Anybody remember Let's Make a Deal? You know anybody? Okay. This is what I think the enemy does with our soul, right? We've got this opportunity where Jesus says, I am who I say I am. And that the enemy of our soul has gotten to us first. And I've got so many better options for you. I've got the door of power. Let's just squash all these other idiots around you and I will make you so powerful. Go at that. Go in that door as long as you possibly can, and you will love your life if you could be the most powerful person. Or he's if you don't like that door, let's go. I've got the door of money. Let's achieve. Let's get more zeros. Let's get to the top of the ladder. It'll make you more important. It'll make you better. Spend your life on that door. It's so worth it if you can just get more money. If you don't like the power door or the money door, let's try the pleasure door. You just try that. Whatever you want, whatever feels, if it makes you happy, it can't be that bad. Whatever you want, have as many experiences, go as many vacations, do whatever you can do, because let's just make sure we're comfortable, because this life is hard enough, so go after all the pleasure that you can get. And then we walk through those doors. Some of us are how did he know my biography? I'm I know, I've lived this. This is my biography. I've gone after the door number 1, door number 2, door number 3, and all of a sudden the enemy makes them look so good. And we get through the door, we pick one of those doors with our life, and then it's like, ha ha ha, sucker. And then he's gone, and he leaves you in the mess. And all you've got is the wreckage of a wasted life. Anyone been there? Just me? And like we take that deal, the opportunity that Jesus is offering us, what we're gonna walk through when he says, I am the gate or I am the door. And we take the deals that the enemy offers and he leaves us in the wreckage. But Jesus is still there saying, hey, you're not too far gone. You're not too far done. You haven't taken too many bad deals yet that there is not hope for even you or hope for even me. And maybe for you, it's not power, money, pleasure. Maybe those are too personal. You don't want to talk about those. But maybe for you, you've taken the door of achievement. Or maybe for you, you've taken the door of perfectionism. Or maybe for you, you've taken like the image management door. Like you've taken like the gram life, like putting your best version of yourself. You've taken that off of social media and you've tried to do that just in your life, that people only see the perfect version of your image management. And that's the door you've walked through with your life. Maybe the door you've walked through with your life is intelligent. You're like, I'm going to be the smartest person in the room at all times. And if I'm not, I'm going to fake it. And just that way, I'm just going to make it sound like I use really big words so they think I'm really smart because that's the door I'm going through. Maybe the door that you've walked through with your life or the trajectory of your life is control. Like, man, I don't trust anybody. I don't even trust anybody behind the door. I don't trust God. I don't trust anything. So I've got to control all of this. I want to be the one that's offering the doors and offering the options for everybody else. So I've made my life so where I control everything around me because I don't want anything to happen that's outside of my control. And then life happens and you're like, what happened? And just like, well, you can't control everything. But you've spent your life trying to control it because you walked through that door. Maybe for you it's success. I'm like walking through the door of success and then I'll be somebody if I can be successful. Maybe for us, some of us, it's the door of relationships. I got to be with somebody so that I can be somebody. Or like I need my kids to be somebody so I can be somebody because I wasn't somebody and I don't know who I am without them. So I need them to be Can you imagine the pressure that puts on the next generation? I mean, there's so many options that we walk forward with our life and the enemy goes, we open up those doors and we're like, I'll take that trade. And he's like, sucker, got you. Sometimes it takes us decades to realize it. What I want to walk through today is where Jesus says, man, there is hope for us in that. And the best option forward and the best way to live is where Jesus says, I am the gate. It's connected to this fact that I am the good shepherd. So we're going to walk through John 10 a little bit, but I want to show you basically a picture of like a sheep gate back in the day. This is like an artist rendering. It's very fancy. You would walk by this and go, oh, like that's nice. So you got the sheep here, you got the shepherd right there kind of being at the gate. That's what it would look like. Let me give you like what it really looks like in first century Israel. This is still one still standing. This is actually what it would look like here. And this is the sermon. This is the message in a picture. So if you're just wanting to know what the message was about, this is what it's about. And so at the end of the message, I'm going to ask you to figure out where you are in this story, because this is the story. So some of us are going like, I'm not under the authority of Jesus being the shepherd of my life or the gate of my life, or that I'm not under the authority of God being letting him be who he says in my life. I'm not surrendered to him. So I'm living outside of the provision, and I'm living outside of the protection, and I'm living outside of the identity of where I'm supposed to be and who I'm supposed to be. And some of us have like been in here before. And we know the safety, and we know the love, and we know the joy that's found as being a much-loved rescued son or daughter of the King. But we haven't been back home in a long, long time because we got our rescue. We know where home base is, but we're good now. And what Jesus is saying is, I am this gate. I am the way. I am the good shepherd. I'm the one right here. I'm the one who helps people in, who lets people in, and I'm also the one who protects people when people are trying to do them harm. Let me read it for you. It's in John 10. It's fascinating. It says this. It says, "Very truly I tell you, Pharisees." So Jesus is talking to religious people that think they've got it all figured out. I mean, probably don't know any of those. But in Jesus' day, there were religious people that were very moral but didn't love God at all. And they were very legalistic but had no joy in their life. And so they know the most about God, but they're the least like God in the world. You probably don't know any of those people, but that's who Jesus is talking about when he says Pharisees. "Very truly I tell you, Pharisees, anyone who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way," like Pharisees, like your own morality, your own earning of salvation, your own legalism, your own controlling the way that God works. Like if you're going in any other way except for Jesus, then that is a thief and a robber. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he has brought out all of his own, he goes ahead of them, and his sheep follow him because they know his voice. They will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away because they do not recognize the stranger's voice. Let me stay there for a second. Like, I don't know what your picture of shepherding is. It was like a primary occupation back in Jesus' day. So he's like kind of talking about what's going on around him. Lots of people understood what shepherding was. You probably just think sheep are dumb and they're driving people. Shepherds are just corralling this and they're trying to get all these people, these idiot sheep to move this way. But that's not how it worked in the first century. Actually, first century shepherds would sing, would talk, would be with the sheep all day, and they would lead them from the front, not drive them from the back, right? So they would lead them and say, "Hey, we're headed this way. You know my voice. Follow me," because sheep can't see very well at all, but they have great hearing. And so they would just follow the voice of the shepherd. And so he had to train them. The shepherd has to train the sheep to be able to follow and know his voice. And I don't know if you've ever played any athletic competition or whatever, or any kind of competition where you've had somebody have to direct you from the side in the middle of the chaos. But the best coaches that I've ever seen, they never raise their voice in the middle of the chaos. I've been a coach. I'm not that good of a coach because I am yelling all the time, right? So I'm saying, but the best coaches I've seen never raise their voice, ever. They talk like this in the same level of practice, in the same way on the sideline, because they know I've got to train my players. I've got to train my team. I've got to train my band. I've got to train the people under my direction that when it's not chaotic, they got to know my voice, because when we get into the mess and when we get into the chaos and when we get into the other stadium and we get onto the other court, when everybody's talking about our mothers, right? They got to be able to hear my voice and shut all of that out so they know exactly what to do. And I don't know what your life is like. I wouldn't pretend to know. But I'm willing to wager that it's been a minute since you've heard God's voice in the middle of the chaos remind you who you are, what he's called you to, and the direction that he wants you to walk. And what I would challenge us all to is that we may need to get accustomed, before life gets chaotic, we may need to get accustomed to reminding ourselves and training our ears to hear the shepherd's voice. Because when life happens, when pain happens, when anxiety happens, when failure happens, when chaos happens, like we are scrambling for the direction that God has called us, and we're going, "Where are you?" And he's like, "I've been leading you the whole time. You just won't listen. You've not trained your ears to follow my voice." Verse 6 says, Jesus used this figure of speech, but the Pharisees did not understand what he was telling them. And I'm like, I laugh at the Pharisees. I'm like, how did you not get what he just said? Like, it's real clear. Dumb Pharisees, right? Like, you got Jesus right in front of you, and he's telling you exactly who he is and what he's called you to, and you miss it. And then I'm like, realize like, oh, I'm probably more like the Pharisee in the story, because I know about God, and he's been real present in my life, and I still do my own thing and miss the messages that he tells me all the time. Verse 7, it goes to some pretty famous scripture here. It says, verse 7 says, "Therefore Jesus said again," because the Pharisees couldn't get it and I need more help, "Very truly I tell you, I am the gate for the sheep. All who have come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep have not listened to them. I am the gate. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture." What that means is that there is protection and there's provision. when you realize that Jesus is the gate for us. There's protection and provision. They will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief, this is a famous verse, maybe you've heard of it. The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy, but I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. When you read the biography of Jesus in John, it is all about Jesus coming to bring life and to the full. It's one of the most famous parts right here. And so I don't know where our life is right now. I don't know what it feels like. I don't know if it feels like something's been stolen from you, killed in you, or destroyed in you. But I want you to know that the God that is wooing you, the God is trying to win you over, the fact that God is who he says he is and sent Jesus into the mess, wants to be the God who gives you, who brings life to you, and who wants to build with you, not steal, kill, and destroy. So anytime that our life feels like it's falling apart and stolen and killed and destroyed, it's maybe because we've been following the wrong shepherd in our life. Because Jesus as the gate wants to build and give life and give. Life to the full. And Jesus is the only way to experience that. You can try all the other doors you want. Power, money, pleasure, achievement, success, relationships. You can try it all. But nothing will satisfy. Man, if you're in your 20s, I would tell you, man, save yourself a lot of heartache of choosing which way the trajectory of your life is going to go, and let it be with God at the center and Jesus as the gate. Because on the other side of the doors, there are so many people in this room, in our city, at this church that would say, man, it is just empty when you chase after the wrong things. You're in your 60s and you've chased after all the wrong things. You're like, yeah, that's preach, right? But it's not too late. God has great things for your future, even with a messed up past. Don't bail on Jesus being the gate for your life. Man, everything else that's in front of us does not work and does not satisfy. And there's a real enemy of our souls that is trying to do everything that he could to destroy our confidence in God and destroy that he is who he says he is and that he has good plan for you and that his ways are the best. He wants you to take any other door, any other gate, except for the one that Jesus offers. But they're empty. You want life, you want it to the full, take Jesus up on him being the gate with protection and provision. Just want to remind us of a couple things of what it means for us that Jesus is the gate. When he says that, just like, oh, that's a great, that's awesome, man. That's really cool. Those are 10 verses. I can remember that. I understand the picture. I understand let's make a deal. I understand the picture of the sheep pen. That makes sense to me. Pharisees are idiots. They didn't get it. Great. That was a great message. Let's walk out and just do life as normal. No. What we need to realize is not just like that treat Jesus like a hotel door that we walk in, but like a house that we reside in and live in, that door. Like we check in, check out, get what we need because it was just there for a second, but no, a place that we learn to reside. What we realize is that what it means for us that Jesus is the gate is that we are welcomed in. Man, you don't have to sneak your way in. You don't have to shame your way in. You're in. Jesus already paid the price. He said, oh, I want my people to come in, and I am the way, I am the truth, I'm the life, I'm the good shepherd, I'm the door, I'm the vine, I'm the light of the world, I'm the bread of life. This is the way. Come in through me. I have the best provision, and I have the best protection for your life. I'm the gate. You're welcomed in, no matter what you've done or where you've been or who you are. You don't have to clean yourself up, idiot sheep, right? No, with great joy, he brings one back. This is the way. Walk in it. You're welcome. Second, we are protected. When we stay in the boundaries that God has placed for us, we are protected. He fights for us. He's jealous in all the good ways, not the bad ways. You know jealousy before, but not the bad ways, but all the good ways. He is jealous for your attention, your affection. He is jealous for you to have the best possible life, and he wants to give you all kinds of wisdom and all kinds of protection to live that out. Is it going to be comfortable? No. He didn't promise comfort. He promised that he'd be with us in protection and provision, not comfort. What it means for us that Jesus is the gate is that we must learn his voice. And no one can do this for you. It only comes with time with the shepherd. And it starts with like, okay, God, I'm just trying to figure out if you're real. I think you are real. I haven't done this before. Does this even count as praying? I don't know if this counts as praying. I'm like listening to audible voices. I've never heard, I'm like, do you just speak out loud? And I just like, what do I do? It's like, no, God, I need wisdom. And I'm walking into my day and I don't know exactly what to do. And God, you'll hear God go, I care more about who you're becoming than which road you're taking. You're like, I know, but that's great. Which road am I supposed to take? And he's like, I care more about who you're becoming first. Okay, maybe I need to become the right person. Okay, I hear you. And he's like, okay, now that you're the right person, I want you to bring that to the decisions that you make, because that's going to transform everything. But how do I learn to hear your voice? Well, you start paying attention and asking for him to speak. God, what do you want me to do? God, is there anything in me? God, which path should I take? God, is there any part of my heart that you want to transform? God, give me wisdom. Open my eyes. Like, clean me up. Thing that we can know for us when Jesus is the gate is that we have life. It's the best possible way to live. And he gives it to us. You ever meet those people that just have this like joy about them, and they haven't like train wrecked their life? Or maybe sometimes you meet these people that have train wrecked their life and they have that amazing amount of joy and no shame in it because like God has rescued them. Or you meet these people that have this amazing amount of joy and it's like, man, their life is great. What is it about their life? It's because they have been connected to the vine. They've been connected to Jesus being the gate. They have the best possible life and they've taken up the deal that Jesus says. They've walked through the right door that says, I have come to give you life and give it to you to the full. And if you don't have life in this moment and you don't have a full life in this moment, it may be because you've taken the wrong deal and gone after power, money, or pleasure. But it's not too late. So let me go back to this picture, the sermon in a picture. It's the one right here. I just want you to think, just for you, I'm not trying to be like weird or anything, but just for you, I want you to think like where you find yourself today in this picture. Am I learning to live in the boundaries? Am I learning to go in and out? Am I learning to find like provision and protection? Am I know that my identity is in Christ? Am I inside, like walking through the gate of Jesus? Have I accepted that? Do I know that he's the way? Do I know that he's the foundation? Do I know that he's the good shepherd? Do I know that he's the bread of life? Do I know that he's the light of the world? Do I know that he's the vine? Am I learning to live in that reality within the confines of who God has called me to be? Or am I just like, I'm sheep number 1 million, like over here? And what would it take for you to come back home, if that's you? And what would God want to say to you if you're learning to hang out in his provision and protection because Jesus is the gate? What would he want to grow in us over these next few weeks and months and time to come? I want you to pray with me. God, you are good and great and mighty to save. God, thank you for Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy before him laid down his life and became obedient. And the joy before him, God, is us and following you. Man, just so grateful that he is the way, that he is the gate, that he is the rescuer of our lives. And forgive me, Lord, as an idiot sheep who wanders. But thank you for being the kind of shepherd that lets me come back home with joy and builds me back up. May we take you up on your offer that you are the way. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.